Good evening, everyone. Last chapter. पहुंच गई ट्रेन लास्ट स्टेशन पे आपके पेपर 6 audit, right? So has been the journey till so far? Who all are here? Josh is here. I've been making chapter charts for all subjects and chapters. It's become really easy for me to, chapter charts are really helpful, Josh. I'll suggest everyone to at least try that option. Daninesh, good evening, welcome. Good evening. Okay. Daninesh is here, Jyoti is here, Manoj Kumar, Pratika, Alok, Kashif, Siddhant, Kanhaiya, Kushwant. Oh, yes. So, to the last chapter, as we had discussed in the last session, my previous session, that 4 chapters, the basics of audit, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th chapter, the miscellaneous topics, 9th chapter, application of all the 8 chapters in the 9th chapter, the general chapter, audit of financial statements, then 10th chapter, specific with respect to companies, application of all what we have learned till the 9 chapters. You have to do it that the same in the 10th chapter. 11th, company audit report. 12th, bank audit. Now, bank audit, banking as well as banking companies, both covered. So whatever you have learned till 11th chapter, applying on 12th chapter. And last but not the least, the 13th chapter, that is the audit of different kind of entities, special audits, right? So whatever you have learned till now, it's quite easy. We have 2 sessions. So we'll not be taking up the minutest of the details because you've already done that in the 12 chapters. We'll be taking up important topics, important parts, and then we'll be finishing off with this chapter in the next session, right? Okay. So let's move ahead. I'm good, Pooja. Thank you. Hope the same for you people as well. So let me share with you our chapter of the day. Okay. Yes. Audit of different types of entities. So what do we have this in this chapter? The topics. What are the topics? Here we are. Cooperative societies, NPOs, sole trader, the sole proprietor, a firm or a partnership firm, LLPs, charitable institutions, NGOs, educational institutions, hospitals, clubs, cinema halls, hotels, HP and leasing companies. So whatever types of organization, you have studied about the forms of organization, what are types, different structures of organization. We'll be applying what we have learned till now. अभी तक जितना भी हमने सीखा है, जितना भी हमने पढ़ा है, अप्लाई किया है, हम सब इन miscellaneous entities के ऊपर अप्लाई करेंगे. And whatever specific auditing points, specific auditing considerations we need to keep in mind, we'll be applying in this chapter on those entities. So first of all, I'll share this with you. There are some common points which are applicable to every entity, right? So the first point is constitution of the organization. We are studying this from the auditing point of view. From the auditing point of view. So if you are an auditor and you have to take up any such entity, what will you study first? You'll study the structure, the constitution of the organization. Like if it's a partnership firm, the partnership deed. If it is a company, the memorandum and articles, right? So you have to read and understand the constitutional document to understand the structure, the constitution, the management, the board of that particular organization, right? Then there is internal control, accounting policies, the bills, receipts, the vouchers, expenditures, expenses, income, and assets and liabilities. So these are some of the common points which are applicable in every kind of entity, apart from the specific audit points which we are going to discuss today. I'll share it. Dinesh, I'll share it. This is just for a general discussion. Okay, so we'll start with the sole proprietor. Sole proprietor, he's under no legal obligation. No legal obligation to have his accounts audited unless otherwise required by law. Income Tax Act might require him to get his accounts audited if he falls out of the eligible limit. So we have understood that auditors are appointed by the client, right? In case of companies, you have read auditors are appointed by the management, in various cases, shareholders, whatever the case, different cases be. Over here, auditors of sole proprietary concern shall be appointed by the sole proprietor himself. Right? Sole proprietor can determine the scope of audit. Kitna audit, kitna limitation रखना है, क्या restriction लगानी है, कितना part audit करवाना है. I can ask my auditor, just audit my revenue. If there is any revenue leakage, this is my source of income. This is the manager who is accountable, and please check all the bills and all accounts, scrutinize everything, and just let me know if there is any revenue leakage. That is fine. I can ask for audit of my expenses, whether there is any wastage of funds or something like that, or I'm overexpending or I need to expend more. Any suggestions or observations from your side? So it could be a wholesome audit and it could be a partial audit as well. That is completely dependent upon the sole proprietor. If it is voluntary, if it is not voluntary, it is required by any law, then provisions of that law as applicable for with respect to audit have to be kept in mind. So this is the basic about sole proprietor. The most important thing is the last one, which will get to read in every case of every entity. In case of change of auditor, for example, 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, you are getting your accounts audited by one auditor, and the next year, whenever you want to change the auditor, you want to assign another person as your auditor, the incoming auditor, that is the new auditor, has to communicate with the previous, the outgoing auditor. Right? It is just professional ethics that you have to set up by the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India, that please communicate with your professional brothers, sisters, before taking up any assignment, which they have been doing till now. So you have to communicate, right? पिछले auditor है, उनसे बात करनी जरूरी है, whether verbal, in writing, oral, whatever you like, but you should at least communicate with them. So we have done. Now, the partnership firm. You have read about this, if I'm not wrong, sole proprietors, partnership firm in your business management in +2 and graduation, +1 and graduation, the kinds of the forms of organization, and the corporate form, right? Will be taking up everything. Companies you have done will be taking up the rest. So in the case of partnership firm, the auditor is appointed by the partners, right? So either they take this decision mutually, or whatever is written in the partnership agreement, that condition, because partnership agreement is signed by all the partners. So whatever method or way of appointment of auditor is written in that partnership agreement, that proper mechanism would be followed to appoint the auditor. Remuneration also fixed by the auditors. Letter of appointment, we already understand, agreeing the terms of audit engagement. Change of auditor, duty of incoming to communicate with the outgoing. And auditor may ensure application of accounting standards prescribed by the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India. In case if the firm wants to get, is required, not wants, it is required to get the accounts audited under requirements of any institute. I give you the example, Income Tax Act. The auditor will have to qualify the report in case of non-compliance with the accounting standards. Qualify, I hope you might have read and understood this word in the chapter of audit report. Qualify means will have to give an opinion which is negative. Adverse opinion is different. Qualify means it is different from the normal. So if the auditor finds any non-compliance with the accounting standards applicable generally to all the bodies in India, then they'll have to qualify the report. Alternatively, what are the alternatives available? Only disclosure of non-compliance with accounting standards would be sufficient without making it a subject matter of qualification. Now, it is subjective, depends upon the auditor now, whether he wants to give only a disclosure or he wants to qualify his audit report. Common points. Matters to be considered before starting audit, quite general matters, knowledge of your client's business as a 315, name and style, which business shall be conducted, duration of partnership. Basically, you'll have to go through the partnership deed. Siddhant, letter of engagement is given by the auditee to the auditor. Like the client would be giving the letter of engagement in the name of the firm. The firm would appoint an auditor from any partner as the engagement partner to audit the accounts. The contract is between the auditee and the auditor firm, right? Okay. Amount of capital contributed, period of at which the accounts would be finalized, profit and loss sharing ratio, everything like borrowing capacity of the partnership, rate of interest at which money can be borrowed by the partner, the rate of interest which would be allowed to them on their capital, any advances, about managerial remuneration, or you can say the salaries payable to partners, then what are the rights and duties of the partners, who shall operate the bank account jointly, severally, whatever the condition may be, it would be written in the partnership deed, and any limitations and restrictions. So quite common matters. Advantages of audit of a partnership. Okay, guys, this is an exam question, 4 marks. What are the advantages of audit of a partnership firm? So settle any disputes, because audited accounts are the best proof, the best evidence available. If there is a dispute regarding the accounts or any entries or financial disputes. Dissolution of the partnership firm, you all have read about it. Dissolution of partnership. So if there is any retirement or death of partner, we need audited accounts to settle their accounts. You have read about goodwill, sacrifice ratio, gaining ratio, everything. So how are they calculated? You have done it in your accounts, but the figures, the facts which are given to you in the question, they have to be audited by a chartered accountant properly, because they are going to form the base for the dissolution, the financial figures. Obviously, any person who wants to make use of those statements feels it to be reliable if it is audited. It could be a bank while giving loans to the firm. It could be a vendor while entering into purchase agreements, deals with the client, right? Admission of new partners. If you want to admit a new partner, so you need to calculate, how do you calculate the amount of goodwill purchase? And obviously, it helps in controlling many aspects of working in the partnership firm, right? Special points in audit of a partnership firm. What are special points? Letter of appointment, as Siddhant asked me. The letter of appointment is between the partnership firm and the auditor firm. Okay. Now the auditor firm would appoint an engagement partner to carry out the audit of that partnership firm. So you will have to check special points in audit of a partnership firm. First, you'll have to check your appointment. That is very much important. Then the partnership deed, whether the registration of partnership is voluntary. You have to check whether they have got it registered or not. Okay. You'll get an idea of the capital contribution, profit sharing ratios, interest on capital contribution, etc. The minutes book, usually not all the partnership firms keep this minutes book, but some keep. So you can check the minutes book about the meetings taking place between the partners, some specific decisions taken, some important decisions taken. So you can also check whatever is being done mutually by the partners. So what are the objectives of the partnership firm, the trade, the business they are doing? How are the books of account maintained? Who is maintaining them? Who is having a control over them? Where are they being maintained? Mutual interest among the partners, that no partner should be suffering as a result of the partnership business, right? So पार्टनरशिप फर्म को ना नुकसान पहुंचाता और फर्म पार्टनर को नुकसान ना पहुंचा रही हो, इस तरह का म्यूचुअल इंटरेस्ट पार्टनर और पार्टनरशिप फर्म में होना चाहिए, राइट? पार्टनरशिप डीड के अंदर जो भी लिखा है, वॉट एवर द कंडीशंस आर, उसको सब पार्टनर्स म्यूचुअली अग्री कर रहे हो और मान भी रहे हो. Okay, then tax provisions. Obviously, partnership firms are subject to a flat rate of 30%. You might know it. You have to know it. And the division of profits properly as per the deed, the profits have been shared and even the losses. Okay, so suppose you guys know that profit sharing ratio and loss sharing ratio could be different. Do you people know this? It can be the same. Profit and loss sharing ratio can be the same, or it could be different. Any of the partners might not be contributing towards the losses. It could be a provision in the partnership deed. Do you guys know about this? Let me know. Oh, nice. You people know about it. Okay. Now coming to LLP. So what basically is LLP? LLP is the hybrid of partnership and company. Partnership firm got married to company and gave birth to LLP. That is what, in a layman language, we can talk about LLP, because it has genes, features of both the partnership firm and the company form of organization, and all the good genes, right? All the good features. So basically a need was felt where the businesses wanted the benefits of partnership, but in an organized form, like the company format. So the government, Indian government, came up with the concept of LLP. So what is LLP? LLP is an alternative corporate business form that gives the benefits of limited liability of company and flexibility of partnership. So partnership, you might have solved questions in accounts relating to partnership that the liability of the partners is unlimited. But in the case of a company, a shareholder, the liability is limited by the value of shares. Okay. So to have that feature of limited liability where the partners they do not have an unlimited liability, and they have flexible features as the partnership has. For example, in company, you cannot just take out money as withdrawals or for your personal use. But in the case of a partnership, if you take out money from the common pool, it is regarded as withdrawals by the partner. So that is what flexible option a partnership gives, but the company doesn't. So businesses wanted अच्छा दोनों का, पार्टनरशिप के भी बेनिफिट्स मिले और कंपनी के बेनिफिट्स मिले, तो दे कम अप विद LLP. Yes, LLP Act 2008. It's fine, Mr. Vora. Nothing to worry. Yes, Manoj. Yes, can be. So it combines the features of both partnership and company. It is governed by the Limited Liability Partnership Act 2008. And this act, the draft was framed in 2008, but this act came into effect from 1st April 2009. Now, when a separate act is there for LLPs, they need not, like the Indian Partnership Act 1932, it is not applicable on them. So LLPs are governed by the separate act, LLP Act of 2008. Okay. So what are the features of an LLP? It is a body corporate, legal entity separate from its partners. It has perpetual succession, can own assets in its name, sue and be sued. All the features of a company form of organization. Now the partners, the management, you have read in company form of organization that the management and the ownership are different. But here, the partners can manage the business directly, unlike the shareholders. The management and the ownership can be the same. That is the partners of the LLP. One partner is not responsible or liable for another partner's misconduct or negligence. Minimum 2 partners are required to form an LLP, and there is no maximum limit on the number of partners in an LLP. So the rights duties are governed by the LLP agreement. Now this is important. At least 2 partners should be designated partners who will be under an obligation to obtain the DPIN, designated partner identification number. Have you guys heard about MCA, Ministry of Corporate Affairs portal, Registrar of Companies? Have you people heard about it or read about it? MCA, please. बोलो भाई, मतलब लिखो. अच्छा, तुम सबने सुना हुआ है. Yes, Kushal, you would be. Okay. Okay. So, see, I'm person A. If I am a director in a company, so MCA, Ministry of Corporate Affairs, asks me to obtain a DIN, Director Identification Number. Like in income tax, what we have? PAN. In GST, the GST number. And you, as a civil citizen of India, we have the Aadhaar card. In the same way, MCA governs the companies and the LLP. If I'm a director in a company, I need to have a DIN, Director Identification Number. That would be my unique ID with the MCA, and I have to quote it in whatsoever number of companies I'm a director. I'll have to, that is my identity with MCA. Now, MCA is the body which governs LLP as well. So in the case of an LLP, if I am a partner in an LLP, then the DIN is replaced by DPIN. So that is designated partner identification number. IN is the same. D is for director, DP is for designated partner, as the case may be. So in the case of an LLP, at least 2 partners of an LP should be designated partners, and they'll have to obtain DPIN from MCA by filling out a form, giving their details, and they'll be issued a DPIN. That is designated partner identification number. Right? Now the question arises, I'm a person, I am a director in a company, as well as I am a designated partner in an LLP, 2 different bodies. So what would I be requiring, a DIN or DPIN? Okay, food for thought. So I'm a person, I'm a director in a company, and I'm a designated partner in an LLP as well. So what would I be requiring? DIN, DPIN, or both? Come on, think and answer. Or think and guess. What could I say better? Okay, Kushwan says both, Alok says both, Jash says both, Siddhant says both, Sharan says DIN, both, DIN, DPIN, both. Okay. See, I require only one because my ID cannot be in duplicate with MCA, Ministry of Corporate Affairs. Okay. The ID is with respect to MCA and not with respect to the form of organization. The form of organization is just a medium. to get an ID with MCA. If I was a director first in a company, I would have taken the DIN. Now, if I have become a designated partner in an LLP, the same DIN would work in the LLP case as well, because my ID with the MC is already established. I'll not need to get a DPIN. The same DIN which I'm using as a director in the case of companies, I'll be using the same DIN over here as my DPIN. On the other hand, if I have been a designated partner in an LLP and afterwards I become a director in a company, so I would have taken my DPIN. The same DPIN would work as DIN in the case of companies wherever I would have to quote myself as a director. Because you need to understand that this is not organization specific. This is your ID with the MCA. The ID works the same everywhere. So whatever you have taken first, that will suffice the purpose for the other form of organization as well. And you need not take both. That would be a case of duplicate IDs. MCA will not issue you. I hope I'm clear. Okay. Okay, let's move ahead. Rules regarding accounts, audit, and returns. So this is important. Just a second. Let me check this. Okay, fine, done. Okay, so this is important case. Accounts, audit, and returns in the case of an LLP. An LLP shall be under obligation to maintain annual accounts reflecting true and fair view. They are required to maintain books of accounts which shall contain incomes and expenditure, assets and liabilities, statement of cost of goods purchased, work in progress, finished goods if a manufacturing LLP, any other particular which the partners may decide. Now, these 2 points are really, really important, and I'm going to read word by word with you. Returns. A statement of accounts and solvency in Form 8, Form number 8, with respect to LLPs as available on the MCA portal, shall be filed by every LLP with the registrar of companies only. You don't have a registrar of LLPs separately. Under MCA, registrar means registrar of companies only. You'll have to file with the jurisdictional registrar every year. So it is an annual form within a period of 30 days from the end of 6 months of the financial year to which the statement of accounts and solvency relates. So for example, a usual case, 31st March is the end of the financial year within a period of 30 days from the end of 6 months. So 6 months end on 30th of September. April, May, June, July, August, September. 6 months end on 30th of September. Within 30 days from end of 6 months. So by 30th October, you'll have to file this statement of accounts and solvency. Basically, your audited set of data. It contains your income and expenditure and a statement of asset and liabilities. The balance sheet and the profit and loss, income, expenditure. So this is the first form. Which form? Form 8, your statement of accounts and solvency. Every LLP would be required to file annual return in Form 11 with ROC. So this is an annual return. What is the annual return? Annual return is the annual working of the LLP. How many meetings were held? Who are the partners? What are their addresses? What is their DPIN? And what was the business taken up? What was the turnover? How much remuneration was paid to the partners? Everything from minute to the minutest details. They have to be filed in Form 11 with ROC within 60 days of close of financial year to which such annual statement relates. Within 60 days, that means by 30th of May. So that was 30 days from the end of 6 months. Now this is 60 days from the close of financial year. So Form 8 and Form 11 are the returns of the LLP. Now audit of LLPs. If you want to get the audit done voluntarily, it is okay. If it falls under the provisions of law, let us see the law, what the law says. The accounts of every LLP shall be audited in accordance with Rule 24 of the LLP Rules 2009, which provide that any LLP whose turnover means sales plus other income, does not exceed in any financial year 40 lakh rupees. So 40 lakh rupees is the limit. Till 40 lakhs, no audit required. Above that, audit required as per the first condition. Or means whose contribution does not exceed 25 lakh rupees is not required to get its accounts audited. So either your turnover does not exceed 40 lakh rupees or your contribution is a capital contribution by the partners does not exceed 25 lakh rupees. You are not required to get your accounts audited. But if the partners want to get the accounts audited, they'll have to follow the provisions as laid down in Rule 24. How to appoint the auditor, what would the duties, rights, everything, the remuneration, as laid down in this rule. Even if voluntarily, you'll have to follow the conditions of this rule. Again, the registrar has the power to call for any information, summon any partner, designated partner. Okay, partner, designated partner. There are normal partners. There are two partners, at least two partners who will take care of who will be like managing the affairs of the LLP, whom the government letters will be addressed to, who will be signing the important documents, everything. So those are the designated partners. And there are other partners as well, along with the designated partners. So on MC, as someone said over here, documents are available for public inspection. You can just pay a fee and get these documents. What are the documents available in case of companies? Available in case of LLP as well. Incorporation document, names of partners, if there are any changes, admission, retirement, death, statement of account and solvency Form 8, annual return Form 11, and then the provisions of default. I'll not take this up. You can just read them on your own. This 20 lakh rupees limit is on balance sheet date at the close of the financial year for that particular year. 25 lakh limit. Turnover is total. You're talking about the contribution. Financial year 40 lakh rupees, this is the turnover, and contribution does not exceed 25 lakh rupees. Yeah, at any point of time. Okay. Appointment. So if it is the first year, at any time for the first financial year, but before the end of that year. So if it is the first financial year of the LLP, anytime you can appoint the auditor. The designated partners have to appoint the auditor. So they have to be appointed by the designated partners. At any time for the first financial year, but before the end, like before 31st March, you'll have to appoint that auditor. At least 30 days prior to the end of each financial year other than the first financial year. So from second year onwards, before the month of March. At least 30 days prior to the end of each financial year, you have to appoint your auditor. To fill the casual vacancy, Fill the casual vacancy caused by removal of auditor. The partners may appoint the auditors if the designated partners fail. If the designated partners are not able to appoint the partners in rarest of the rare circumstances, then the partners get the authority to appoint the auditors. Advantages of the same as of the partnership. Auditor's duty, again the same. You'll have to see the engagement letter, the minutes book, the LLP agreement, right? As the partnership deed, you'll have to see the LLP agreement and your reporting. Same way as the company audits, the reporting. Okay, any doubt till now? Let me see the doubts. Okay. The doubts are somewhat jumbled up. You can just write down your doubt over there. I'll take them up in the break and then I'll solve your queries after the break as well. Whatever doubts I think I missed, I'll take them up. Great. There might be some technical lag. You just write down your doubt on the query link and I'll take them up in the break. Okay. Fine. Should we move ahead? Okay, great. Let me take you to some miscellaneous topics first. Then we'll take up this heavy topic. Right. Okay. Let's move ahead. A normal topic, that is the audit of a club. So, how many of you have been to a club with your parents or with friends in your city? Any of the clubs? How many of you have been there? See, if you need to study audit, you'll need to have a glimpse of the real situation as well. If I'm telling you about a club, if you have never been there, you need to understand what are the special features of a club, right? We'll be taking up hospital, educational institution, and cinema hall. You all have been there to cinema hall. So you need to visualize. You need to visualize the scenario, the environment over there to consider the auditing points. No, Caro is not applicable to LLP. Rotaract Club and Lions Club type, yeah. If they have their building or their assets and all, that is also fine. Okay, basically, what is a club? People associate themselves together and form a club, right? So basically an association. So they can purchase their building, take a building on rent, and they provide facilities to their members. Like you have town hall clubs. In many cities, you have town hall clubs. You are a member of those clubs. You get specific facilities, amenities at discounted rates. They are open to general public as well. But the food, the other services are provided to the members of the club at discounted prices. So if you're talking about discounted prices and members of the club, obviously then there would be an organized structure to take membership of that club, right? That is how we are going to proceed over here. So the first thing is, if I am, let's assume yourselves to be a member of the club, right? Or a person who is auditing the club is a member. As a member of the club, you'll have to proceed further. To understand what a club is, what are the special features, only then you'll be able to consider your auditing points. So, right? So, if it is a club, there would be entrance fee. What is the entrance fee? To be a member of the club, you have to pay some entrance fee. You have to apply. Counterfalls issue to them is the receipts. You apply that I want to take the membership of this club. The entrance fee, you enter a club. You enter that association, not physically you are entering the club. You enter into that association. So it could be somewhere around 5,000, 20,000, 15,000 to become a member of the club. Basically the application fee. So the auditor has to check that the members being entered into the club, newer members, whether entrance, there is a provision for charging entrance fee or not. Then people who are members of the club, whatever they have subscribed to the club, it could be a magazine, it could be yearly subscription to enjoy the amenities in the club. Like there is a restaurant, there is a pool, swimming pool for summers, then there is spa and sauna, there is a ground for sports, for a playing room for the indoor games, right? And there could be other facilities as well. Banquet halls, everything. So if the members have subscribed to these facilities, these amenities, are they being offered at discount, or just being a member, they are being offered free of cost? What is the criteria of the club? So how do you check that? You check that with members subscription register, the members register. You'll check the counterfoils, whatever is issued to them. You can understand that the receipt book, there is a carbon paper over there. Nowadays, e-receipts are issued WhatsApp in the times of WhatsApp and Facebook and everything, GPs, Paytm and UPI. So basically fees is paid online and receipt is issued, available for download over there. So you can check those e-receipts as well as if physically issued, the counterfoils. You have to trace them with the period for which they have been received. And you'll also have to check total subscriptions, due, collected and outstanding. So what is you might have done in this in your NPO chapter of accounts, either the foundation level or the inter level, subscriptions received in advance, subscriptions in arrears, right? So you got to calculate the subscriptions beginning in the year, at the beginning of the year, subscriptions at the end of the year. You might have done these questions. This is what subscription is. The auditor has to check the accuracy, the working of the subscriptions as laid down in the financial statements of the club. The auditor has to check for the arrears of subscription, whether the previous year arrears have been fulfilled or they are being carried forward. Arrears of year under audit. And if any subscriptions have been received in advance, have they been adjusted as and when the time comes to adjust the subscriptions? So this is what, with respect to the member subscription, the auditor has to check. This is something which is related to the membership of the club, the entrance fee and the member subscriptions. Arithmetical accuracy, normal point. The totals of the registers and all. Check the registers of the members. So check, are all members' names recorded in the register of members? Which members' dues are in arrear? Whether steps have been taken for the recovery, issued, like intimations issued to the members that your account is running overdue, please clear it. And if there is any amount of bad debt means irrecoverable amount, has it been written off, and the auditor has to mention this amount in his audit report. Now, this was something which was related to membership. Now, I've checked everything about the membership. Now, coming on to the next step, the amenities enjoyed by the members. The membership part is clear. We have audited each and every aspect. Now, coming on to the next phase, which is if the member is clear, now what amenities does he enjoy? So, in the first of the amenities is the restaurant, service centers. So what is the pricing policy of the club with respect to these facilities? What is the internal check maintained? Internal check is how are the accounts maintained? Are they cleared on a periodic basis? For example, a member can enjoy the services for 1 month, and by the end of 7th day of the next month, he has to clear his account. There should not be any overdue. Like the way credit cards work. Okay. And if it is being paid in cash, so how is it being accounted for? The discounts and everything. So we have to check the internal system, how robust, how strong it is. Members being charged with the price of foodstuff and drinks provided to them and their guests. They might be holding parties over there. Fees chargeable for special services such as billiards, tennis, pool, etc. Now, as an auditor, I'll also check the member accounts with the subsidiary registers maintained with the reception or the manager. This particular member A had a family dinner in the restaurant of the club on this particular day. Whether he cleared his bill or it was khate mein likh dena. This particular person has taken membership of monthly pool services. Has it been paid in advance, the services fee, or it is being cleared on a monthly basis? So we'll have to check the member accounts. We'll have to check for the margins, GPs maintained. What gross margins are being charged by the club, or gross margins are being taken by the club, earned by the club over services and food stuff being sold to its members as well as non-members. Right? It should not be quite high. And the unsold stock and all the, you can say, closing stock, which is there, unsold, it should be verified physically and its valuation should be checked so that there is no understatement or overstatement of profits. You might have done questions in your final accounts. The opening stock was overvalued by 25%. The closing stock has been undervalued by 25%. And you will make the adjustments in final accounts to arrive at the correct value of profit. This is what it is being told over here, that you have to check the valuation of the unsold stock, the closing stock with the, it could be with the bar, it could be with the restaurant. And further, you'll have to check the inventory register. You might be requiring entry for the sports area, the indoor games area, furniture, the inventory of the restaurant. The most important thing is whatever is being purchased by proper sanction. Right? The manager of the respective part is taking sanction of the managing committee or whoever the person is authorized, whosoever is being authorized, a proper sanction is being obtained to expend on that part. Again, the investments, so the club would be having surplus money with it as received from the members fee, subscription fee, and towards the foodstuff and services being provided to its members. So the surplus is being accumulated and investments are being made. Normal point, you have to check the investments, the shares, the bonds, whatever investment they have made, their current values as per AS13, the disclosure as per AS13, and whether they have been kept in safe custody and the auditor is satisfactory with respect to their custody. The last but not the least, the auditor wants to know if there is a managing board. Obviously, there would be a managing board, the chairman, the vice chairman, the secretary, the treasurer, there would be a governing body. So what are the financial powers of the secretary? He's the most important person in this case. What are the financial powers of the secretary? And if in any case a secretary had to exceed the powers, this should be reported in his report after confirmation by the managing committee. So these are the points with respect to a club. Okay. No, Mr. Kojima. Again, that depends upon the club and the person who is appointing the board of the club, who is appointing the auditor. Mr. Alok Shivlani. No, separate audit. Alok, audit with respect to one form of organization. If it is the audit of the owner, then the both could be taken up. Otherwise, if it is the audit is organization specific, then separate audit would be required. Alok. Fine. Let's move ahead. Charitable institution. So you would have read in your chapter of income tax, NPOs in accounts, those who work for charity, the object is social welfare. That is what charity is. Section 11, Income Tax Act 11 and 12. Mr. Vora, 7th point says that you have to check the member accounts, their registers. आपको चेक करना है that members ने जो भी सर्विसेज क्लब में आके ली हैं वो उनके अकाउंट में जो लेजर वो मेंटेन कर रहे हैं उस मेंबर का उसमें प्रॉपरली डेबिट हो गई है नहीं हुई है. That is, the amount should be standing recoverable from that member. So as an auditor, I have to check that they are being updated on a regular basis. ऐसा ना हो क्लब सर्विसेज दे भी थे और किसी मेंबर से रुपए हमारे जो हमारी फीस थी हमारा प्राइस था वो लेने वाला रह जाए. That is what 7 point means. I hope I am clear, Mr. Vora. So you have read in your income tax subject, section 11 and section 12, charitable institution, charity, object of social welfare, to promote social welfare. So if there is a charitable institution, it could be any kind, any form. Usually charitable institutions are, you can say trusts or societies, right? But whatever form it is, charitable institution, whatever object it has, we have to understand that its objective is social welfare and what points demand special consideration, merit special consideration in their audit. Basically, we have done the common points. We have to study the constitution of the charitable organization, charitable institution. It could be section 8 company as well, right? Study the constitution under which the charitable institution has been set up. Verify the institution is being managed in the manner contemplated by the law under which it has been set up. Whatever form of organization charitable institution chooses, it is being governed by that law. Examine the system of internal check, verify the income, expenses, and the assets, liabilities, and whatever charity is being received by the charitable institution, the donations, the grants, they are being deposited. If in the form of cash, the samitis in your city, they'll come to you, they'll ask for 100 rupees, 50 rupees, they'll issue a receipt to you. So whatever cash collection is being done on daily basis, it is being remitted or deposited in the bank account of the institution on the same day. If not the same day, the next day. But the cash should not be kept for a longer time except for the buffer required for day-to-day expenses. Right? So in a charitable institution, like I gave you the example of samitis, seva samitis in your city, they'll ask for 100 rupees, 200 rupees from each and every person in the city or the members and their friends, then they'll issue them receipts. You have heard about 80G deduction. 80G deduction is available on the basis of the receipt issued by the charitable institutions, Nar Seva, Narayan Seva, any kind of organization, right? So people donate and people subscribe to their subscriptions as well. Annual subscriptions where they come out with their magazines, where they come out with whatever they are doing. UNICEF organizations who have their offices in India, right? So you might have seen ads as well, where the product you purchase, 1 rupee, 2 rupees, goes to this particular charitable institution. They are working in this field, everything. So people subscribe to their magazines as well, their e-newsletters for a nominal fee. So that is called a subscription. Or you can subscribe for an annual payment to that charitable institution you would have watched in movies. Like इस ट्रस्ट को हर साल इतना रुपया जाएगा, अपनी जायदाद इस ट्रस्ट के नाम, इस चैरिटेबल इंस्टीट्यूशन के नाम कर दी है, जो दुनिया की और जो देश के लोगों की सेवा में लगेगी. So there could be annual membership or life membership subscription. What is annual membership? You pay every year. You renew your subscription every year. And life membership is you pay a certain amount, a higher amount for once, and you need not pay any amount for the rest of your life. You can pay voluntarily any amount for the rest of your life, but it is not mandatory now. So we'll have to check the internal controls. Proper receipts are issued. All receipts books to be checked. They have been sequentially numbered, right? Proper receipts. It should not be like this, that you have taken as charity of rupees 100 from person A, receipt issued number 12, and you leave 13 number receipt and you issue 14 number receipt to person B. There should not be missing receipts. They should be properly issued sequentially to every person from whom charity is being taken. You have to check the counterfoils. I told you what are the counterfoils. In the receipt book, the white slip is issued to you, and beneath that carbon paper is placed, and there is a yellow or a pink slip for the carbon, for the record. Whatever receipts are issued to you, counterfoils are kept with them, or counterfoils are given to you. And usually what happens is original is given to the donor, and the duplicate is being kept, the carbon print is being kept with the institution. So I'll take up that receipt book and I'll tally it with the cash account being maintained or the cash book being maintained. Okay. Then if there is a printed list of subscriptions and donations, I'll get it from the organization and match it with the total collection of subscriptions. Proper system of internal control should be there. And if these are being publicly reported, the total subscriptions and donations, if any, published in reports, should be matching with that figure. What are legacies and grants? What are legacies? Grants, I understand grants are the donations given. What are legacies? Anyone? I want to know what are legacies. If you watch the movies from the 70s or 80s, the Bollywood or the Indian film industry movies, what was it? There was a person who was lying on his deathbed, and what would he do? He's not having any family, or even if he's having family, he has no faith on them. And he appoints a lawyer and gets his will made. And in the will, he would write, मेरे मरने के बाद मेरी जायदाद इस चैरिटेबल ट्रस्ट को, इंस्टीट्यूशन को दी जाएगी, जो जनता की सेवा में काम लगाया जाएगा मेरा रुपया. That is legacy. Amounts received by the way of a will. So if there are any such amounts received by the charitable institution, you have to check them with the available information, and you have to check them with the receipts. If not available, the minute books where it was discussed, and you have to obtain a certificate from responsible official. Who is the responsible official? Any person who has been appointed for the same in the case of a charitable institution, showing what was the amount of grant received. Income from investments, quite simple. Check the dividend, interest, and the scripts being maintained properly in safe custody. If TDS has been deducted, whether it has been properly filed, income tax return has been properly filed, and TDS refund has been taken. Rent part now comes to income and expense. If the charitable institution is maintaining any building or any office, and even if the rooms are being given like dharamshalas, you all know the concept of dharamshalas, right? If it is they are being the rooms are being lent, being given on rent, or banquet halls are being given on rent. So both with respect to the tenancy agreements, you'll have to check the amount of the rent and the due dates. In the case of income as well as in the case of expense, if it is an expense of the institution, but usually it is an income of the charitable institution. Vouching the rent on the rent toll from the counterfoil or receipt books and checking the totals of the cash book. How much rent income has been earned by the charitable institution. Sundry receipts, like you are renting your, you can say, a room or a hall or lobby area, right? For various functions by schools, by various organizations. For example, an NGO has taken your room on rent or lobby or anything for showing a drama based for social welfare, for raising awareness about anything. So dramatic performance is anything, whatever you are receiving with such vouchers and cash statements, you have to check. For example, this is particularly a temple, and the area, the veranda is being given on rent for the kirtan, for religious ceremonies, whether rent is being taken, accounted for properly or not, for any religious ceremony. These are the sundry receipts. Then expenditure, where the vouching the payment of grants. So if a charitable institution is further donating, the donation is being made for a charitable purpose only, or within the scope of the objects of the charitable institution. So we have to check that if the donations are being made further, what could be the end use? Then verifying the cash and bank balance payments. Any funds contributed for special purpose have been utilized for that purpose. For example, we have the charitable institution had collected sum of 2 lakh rupees to get repairs to the building or whitewashing of the buildings carried out, whether it has been end use utilized for the same purpose or not. Check payment along with supporting documents regard to salary and other expenses. Normal points, chapter 9, normal points made with proper sanction. Usually charitable institutions take tax exemption certificate where they receive money, they expend it. There is a tax obligation, and there is a condition that they'll have to spend at least 85% in the same year of whatever amount they have received towards charitable purposes. Only then, whatever surplus they have left with them, it will not be taxable. And if there is any income on which TDS has been deducted, like income from investments, interest, and all, it's being reflected in their tax credit statement. Then the auditor has to check whether an income tax return has been filed properly and refund has been obtained. Claims have been made for the refund. Right? That was the case of charitable institution. Any doubts, please? Okay, so let's complete another part, educational institution, then we'll take a break. Fine. The educational institution. So you all have studied in schools, colleges, the audit of that particular educational institution. What are the specific features? What could be the sources of income? The fees received from the students? What could be the other receipts from the students? If an hostel is being maintained by the educational institution, the college or the school, the rent from that hostel, late fees, penalties, right? So these are the sources of income. Expenditure, the major expenditure it's towards the fixed assets and the salaries of the teachers, provident funds, gratuities, maintaining canteens, right? Auditor can issue qualified report in any case. You have read about it in the case of a company, but qualifying a report is quite normal in any kind of audit. Your ICA is a body corporate. Education is a part, but it is a body corporate. Or ICI. Okay, again, the same points as the charitable institution, you have to check the trust deed or the regulations, the form of organization under which the educational institution has been set up, right? Whatever law is applicable to, for example, in the case of a university, Delhi University, Punjab University, refer to the act or legislature and regulation under which the university has been set up. Read through the minutes of the meetings of the managing committee. Obviously, there would be managing committee or the governing body. Noting resolutions affecting accounts. Resolutions are the resolution passed by the governing body for the working. Operation of bank account, sanctioning of expenditure, normal point. The general consideration. Now, specific considerations. With respect to receipts from students, what do we need to check? Admission fee with admission slips. Credited to a separate fund. Names entered in the student fee register, either monthly or on a term basis. You have to check them with the name, with the student rolls, with the counterfiles of fee receipts issued to them. Just on a sampling basis, right? Audit sampling basis. The counterfoils should be checked with the cash book. Again, a normal point. Arithmetical accuracy, total of fee column of the register should be checked. Arithmetical accuracy, fees received in advance, fees in arrears, irrecoverable amounts have been written off, fines or late payment, fees has been remitted, collected or remitted under proper authority, whether it has been waived off or not. कुछ की माफ कर दी जाती है, कुछ की स्कूल फीस माफ की जाती है, कुछ की लेट फीस या पेनल्टीज माफ की जाती है, तो आपने पहले वो फीस क्रेडिट की होगी, फिर उसको माफ किया होगा, वेव किया होगा. तो प्रॉपर अकाउंटिंग एंट्री के थ्रू एंड प्रॉपर अथॉरिटी के अंदर आपने ये काम किया है. हाँ, इसलिए कि ऑडिट्स यही करते हैं. ओके, सो miscellaneous receipts. What could be the case of miscellaneous receipts in the case of an educational institution? Hostel, as I told you. Rent. So you might be renting out your space from the building for various local bodies for their functions or their seminars or something after the school hours. So if there is a provision for the same in the as laid out by the managing committee, the governing committee, so rent could also be an income. For example, we have an NGO, XYZ NGO, शाम को 5 बजे उसने इस स्कूल में अपना कार्यक्रम रखा है, तो इंस्टीट्यूट जो है उनसे रेंट चार्ज कर सकता है. दैट कुड आल्सो बी केस ऑफ मिसलेनियस इनकम. इन्वेस्टमेंट्स, वी हैव read about it, the investments in many cases. The institute might be receiving grants and donations. For example, there was this 26th January or 15th August function organized by the school in their premises. Guests from the government department was invited, and he was very much happy with the performances of the students, and he wanted to sanction some amount from the government expenditure and gave some donation or grant to the educational institution. So how is this being accounted from? Either it could be from the local authorities, the municipal corporation, or from any government body. If the grant has been received, how has been it accounted for in the books of accounts, right? Or it could be like yours could be a college and it receives grant from the university. University has sanctioned 20,000 rupees for an educational seminar to be conducted by the educational institution. The institution conducts the seminar, invites students, asks them to register, takes fee from them, or conducts an awareness seminar, and whatever expenses, the banners, printers, refreshment expenditure, whatever expenditure was made by the institution, all the bills are invoices are taken, and a reimbursement claim is filed with the university. The university might allow some expenses, might disallow some expenses. So auditor has to check what was a wasteful expenditure and what expenditure was being done, kept in mind. Sometimes the auditor might also have to issue a certificate, right? So what were the allowances that can be disallowed, the expenses, and what were the reasons for that disallowance? Investment points, quite common. Yeah, Priyanka, buses could be rented. Authorizations and sanctions. What is authorization and sanctions basically? The capital expenditure, for example, a new laboratory, computer lab or science lab is being constructed by the school. The expenditure on the same has been sanctioned by the committee in its meeting. We'll check as an auditor the minute book. All the establishment expenses, day-to-day expenses are being properly budgeted and made under proper sanction and authority. If any student is being given concessions, so after a proper appraisal and under proper authority as per the rules framed by the managing committee, they are being given concessions. As an auditor, I'll have to check that. It should not be the case that the person who is at the reception counter or the person who is collecting the fees, the student is known to him and given concession. Cha, to free mein padh le. It should not be like that. Staff payments, provident fund is being properly accounted for. Then if there is an increase in the salaries of the staff, again, it is with proper management resolution and it should be sanctioned in the minutes. Assets, you'll have to check the inventories of furniture, physically check their physical presence and all. And you have to check them with the inventory register or the fixed asset registers. Liabilities. What is caution money? What is caution money? Please. अब तुम गूगल करके मत बताना मेरे को, अगर किसी को पता है तो बताना व्हाट इज कॉशन मनी. तुम लोग गूगल से उठाते हो और उसको यहाँ पे पेस्ट कर देते हो कैरी लिंक पे. So anybody understands what is caution money? Yes. Security deposit or safety money. That is caution money, right? So you take anything on rent and you deposit a money in case you, for example, you take on rent some, for a cultural event, you take on rent some clothes. The vendor asks you for a security deposit in case you lose the clothes. So his loss is covered. In the same way, in the case of an educational institution, if it is like in the case it is giving you the facility of dormitories, it is giving the facility of hotels, they ask for a security deposit. And I'll have to check that that security deposit as an auditor, the caution money, it is being shown as a liability or any other deposit by the student, which is refundable to him. It should not be considered as an income or transfer to revenue. It should be shown as a liability in the balance sheet of that educational institution, because as and when it is going to mature up, they'll have to be returned to the student. If it is non-refundable, then it can be taken to the revenue, not otherwise. Internal controls, so there should not be any arrears on the account of any income. Annual statements, you'll have to check the annual statements regarding various fund maintenance, for example, poor boys fund, games fund, hostel allowance, provident fund, etc. Payments of normal expenses, water bills, electricity, and the capital fund, the corpus, the capital fund of the educational institution where the surplus goes. It should, if there is any increase or decrease with respect to previous figures. Increase is good. If there is a decrease, what was a major expenditure which led to, there could be a loss that led to disclosure, that decrease in this figure. So normal points with respect to internal controls. In the case of an educational institution, see, whatever be the case of any institution, you'll have to visualize that institution in mind. For example, it is an educational institution. Visualize your school, visualize your college in mind. Relate the points to what you have been doing in school, witnessing in school or college. Only then you'll be able to remember these points. Okay, अपने स्कूल का ध्यान कीजिए, किसी क्लब में गए हैं, किसी सिनेमा हॉल में गए हैं, whatever be the topic is, उसे ध्यान में कीजिए. किसी रिलेटिव का आप हालचाल पूछने हॉस्पिटल में गए हैं, उसका ध्यान रखिए. आपने एंटर किया, क्या क्या आपने विटनेस किया, क्या क्या डेस्क थे, क्या क्या रिसेप्शन था, क्या प्रोसेसेस चल रही थी. तो you'll just have to, right, visualize all that in your mind. प्रणव, वो कोचिंग इंस्टीट्यूशन होते हैं, एजुकेशनल इंस्टीट्यूशन नहीं होते. कोचिंग इज द बिजनेस. दिस इज एन एजुकेशनल इंस्टीट्यूशन विच ग्रांट्स डिग्रीज, राइट? प्रणव वशिष्ठ, वो जो आप बोल रहे हो ना, दैट इज प्राइवेट कोचिंग इंस्टीट्यूशन और समथिंग दैट. एजुकेशनल इंस्टीट्यूशंस जिनकी हम बात कर रहे हैं, दे फॉर हायर एंड सेकेंडरी एजुकेशन. ओके, how can I tell this, Alok? How much amount is charged by school to canteen person and on what basis? Depends upon the agreement between them. The canteen person and to what, either it could be an entity or an individual to whom the canteen has been outsourced. I hope, Mr. Pranav Vashisht, your doubt is clear. Okay, let's move ahead. We'll take a break of 10 minutes. It's 15 minutes. Okay. Let's be here. Alok, then that is fine. Okay, okay, okay. Great. My bad. I couldn't get it. Fine, Alok. You are right. Okay, let's be back by 7:35, and these 15 minutes, along with your break tea or coffee or whatever you are drinking, just visualize when you went to a cinema hall, because our next topic is cinema hall. So what you could witness, almost all the points would be similar: assets, liabilities, with just one basic point, which would be specific to cinema hall. Okay, so we'll be back by 7:35, and meanwhile you just visualize about cinema hall. Break for 15 minutes. Everyone, are we back? It's quite cold over here in the north. Are you back from the cinema hall? Mhm. Okay. Yes. So we were here. Great. So, while auditing a cinema hall, just visualize when you went for a movie. You went with your friend on Activa or by car. You paid for the parking fee. So, one point, as I entered the cinema hall, I parked my car or the Activa or and paid the parking fee. The person issued me the parking fee receipt or the counter file. So one sort of revenue either for the mall or for the building or could be for the cinema hall. If it is just a cinema hall building, right? Then I went inside. I was checked by the security guard at the entrance. Then I went further till the reception. I got a ticket booked for myself and my friends, or I went straight forward to the ticket vending machine, TVM. I punched in all my details, paid via UPI or QR, and then the machine issued me tickets, whatever class it would be. Then after taking my tickets, or if I have purchased it online, whatever be the sort of mechanism, I'll have to get the hard copies or the soft copies are sufficient. Depends upon cinema to cinema. Then I enter the main lobby area of the cinema hall where the guards again check me for security purposes and my ticket and show me the way towards the screen. Screen number 1, 2, 3, where my picture, my selected picture, the picture I have, the show I have booked the tickets for would be shown. I wait for my show time, the time to my show to begin in the lobby. In the lobby, I just have a look around and I see the sofa, the furniture, the tables placed, where is the washroom and how many screens are there. And I can see the food stalls, the eating points, whether the cinema hall has a restaurant of its own or it is entered into a rent agreement with the outsourced food stalls. So is it a sharing arrangement, royalty base, or it is a rent agreement with them, right? Then as my show's timings are announced, I go inside the cinema hall and assets of the cinema hall, the chairs, the screen, the projector. The most important part, the film being shown, projected through the projector. So I have a doubt in my mind, how does the cycle work? There are producers who enter into agreement with the film distributors. Film distributors further enter an agreement with the cinema halls. There could be one or more persons in that chain as well, right? And they enter into distribution agreement with the cinema halls. So cinema halls get their the movie from the film distributors. The distributors are the one who act as the mediator between the producers and the cinema halls. So what is the agreement with the film distributors? Whether any advance needs to be paid, how is the fees being remitted, how are the accounts being maintained with them, and some normal expenses of the cinema hall. I watch my movie. In the interval, I do purchase my popcorn and soda. I come back, take my vehicle from the parking area, and come back to home. So this was my journey to the cinema hall, to and fro. Now let us audit the cinema hall from auditor's point of view. Yes, sir, very cold. I'm also from Jaipur. It's been cold since the start of this week. I must tell you, quite cold. So it's quite hotter in the south and the west. Internal controls. So we have to check the internal control mechanism. The entrance to the cinema hall during show is only through printed tickets. Now the tickets are serially numbered and bound into books. In today's era, this is not that relevant because today is the era of digitization. You have soft e-tickets, and even if the tickets are seriously numbered, you have to check the roll of the tickets from where the tickets are being issued, right? The number of tickets issued for each show and class are different. The numbers of the same class for each show on the same day each week run serially. So number of tickets issued for each show and class could be different. But for the same day, for the same week, they should run serially. There should not be any foul play with the serial numbers. This shows misappropriation of money. Advanced book tickets are kept separately. Inventory of tickets is kept in the custody of a responsible official. Single screen theaters and all where still these hard copies are used, this is relevant over there. Pranav, Punjab. Receipts from shows. So confirm that at the end of the show, a statement of tickets sold is prepared and cash collected is agreed with it. So this is their internal control mechanism. The auditor has to check whether they are doing this or not. After the end of every show, they are getting a statement of tickets sold, printed, and check them with the cash collected. Verify that a record is kept of the free passes and there is issued under proper authority. Quite a nominal point. Reconcile the amount of entertainment tax collected with the total number of tickets issued for each class. That is the proper arithmetical calculation that can be checked. And the returns are being filed each month. Entries in the cash book in respect of cash collected on sale of tickets for different shows. You basically have to check the daily statements and tally them with the cash book. So this was also the main part which we forgot in our journey, the advertisement. Before the start of the movie, during intervals. So if advertisements are being shown, national advertisements, political advertisements of local vendors, local service providers and traders in your area. So what are the charges collected for advertisement slides and shorts? You have to check the register of slides and shorts exhibited or kept at the cinema. So you enter the cinema hall and shorts are kept over there. Banners are over there. So what is the agreement entered into with that particular client, customer? And how are the advertisement charges, advertisement fees is being accounted for? Then further, what expenditures are you incurring on your advertisements and promotional campaigns? And they are revenue in nature, they should not have been capitalized. They could be deferred, but they should not be capitalized. Income from restaurants and stalls. So what is the arrangement? If it is cinema hall's own restaurant, how is the prices being charged? What is the margin being maintained? And if they have been outsourced, a rent is being charged or a fixed percentage of the receivables. What is this? What does the agreement say? So if the restaurant is being run by the cinema hall itself, so we have to check the items of foodstuffs, purchase, how is the purchase being made, the inventory at the end of the year, like we did in the case of a club. Fixed assets, their existence, depreciation is being properly charged, capital and revenue expenditure is being properly bifurcated. The most important part is the agreement with the distributors. I told you the film distributors who enter into agreement with the producers. Right? So vouch payments on account of film hire with the bills of distributors, and in the process, the agreements concerned should be what is the agreement? How are the payments being made to the distributors? Examine unadjusted balance out of advance paid. So you have paid advance to the film distributor, and whatever balance is left to be paid to the distributor is being paid in due time. And if there is any balance still left out of your advance paid, it is good and recoverable. You can show it as an asset in your balance sheet of the cinema hall, and it can further be adjusted against the agreement in case of films to be taken on further. Right? We can make a provision with respect to that. We have paid advance to the film distributor. There is some amount of money which is our asset with him, and the advance, if not fully adjusted, can be adjusted against the receipts of the next film with the same distributor. If anything which is irrecoverable you have paid in advance and that is irrecoverable, you cannot recover the amount. Similarly, with the management should give a certificate to the auditor that it is irrecoverable and it should be written as off as bad debt. I hope I'm clear with the cinema hall. Any more doubts, please, with respect to cinema hall before we move further with audit of hospital? Is my voice audible? Is it clear? Okay, great. Great. Let's move ahead with the audit of a hospital. So by now we have done many entities, so you'd be quite comfortable with the audit of a hospital. Okay, come up with your points. What would be your audit considerations? Come on. The sources of income, expenses, assets, liabilities. Come on, please. Give me points with respect to audit of an hospital. हॉस्पिटल के लीजिए, आप मुझे पॉइंट्स दीजिए, हम डिस्कस करते हैं, फिर हम हॉस्पिटल फिनिश करेंगे. आप देंगे मुझे पॉइंट्स. चलिए. Yes, the niche is donations. We can see that written on the screen as well. What else? What are the sources of income? What registers need to be maintained? Okay, medicines, the medicine store, patient, salary to staff, fees from patients, okay. Fine. The first and the foremost thing, check the register of patients maintained, whether it is in an electronic form or physical form, but usually all the hospitals maintain it in the physical register. Vouch the register of patients with copies of bills issued to them. Normal point. Bills for a selected period with the patient's attendance record to see that the bills have been correctly prepared and bifurcated into rent charges, service charges, and medicine payments. It should not be a consolidated bill. Properly bifurcated into rent charges, what are the services provided to the patient, and if there is any charge for the medicines, food, etc. And you have to check the patient's attendance register of patients with for how many days was the patient admitted to the hospital, and the bills have been issued for the same number of days. No one less, no one more. And bills have been issued to all the patients who were admitted. Normal points. Good, Alok. Good. Pranav, good. Yes, Kushi, nice. Good. So if you collect cash, so cash collections as entered in cash book should be tallied with the receipts and counterfoils issued to the patients. Then receipts of OPD and IPD are being accounted for as per the policy of the hospital, and separate registers are maintained for separate patients of OPD and IPD. So what is the difference between OPD and IPD? Come on. What is the difference between OPD and IPD? Google करने लगे सब? Okay. OPD is the outpatient department and IPD is inpatient department. Right? What is it? IPD refers to the patients admitted in the hospital, and OPD represents the patients who come for a checkup and they are sent home back home. That is OPD. Right? The patients who are not admitted, and IPD is the patients who are admitted. Right? Separate registers are maintained for these patients, and receipts are accounted for separately. I hope now it is clear to everyone. Great. Legacies, grants, and donations, the same point as we have done in the case of charitable institution. Subscriptions, again, if like the hospital is being run by a charitable institution, the same point as we've done in the case of charitable institution. Income from investments, the same, you have to check the investment register. TDS, refunds taken. Inventories, yes. You have to check inventories, especially of stocks and stores, as at the end of the year, and check a percentage of the items physically. The syringes, the vaccines, the vials, the medicines, and you have to check their value with the respective ledger balances. You can follow ABC approach in your audit while checking them on sampling basis. And you should check who's been authorized and medicines are being purchased as authorized, and who is issuing high value stock from the storage where the medicines, the high value stock is being placed. How is it being sanctioned, the use? The inward and outward of the stock is being maintained under proper sanction and authority, because some medicines are life-saving and some could be life-threatening as per the case. This is very much important in the case of a hospital. In the case of taxation, check whether the hospital is a corporate hospital or being run under a corporate firm, private, or it is eligible for income tax exemption, like if it is being run by a charitable institution. So all purchases and expenses, whether capital or revenue, are being properly sanctioned. The appointment, salary packages have been properly authorized to the staff, doctors, nurses, other staff. Bills raised at concessional rates are duly authorized. Bills raised at concessional rates to the patients. We are talking about the patients over here. The bills, if concession is given to any patient, it has been properly authorized. Fixed assets register is being properly maintained. Physical inspection has to be carried out by the auditor. Purchase of fixed asset has been made after proper sanction and authority and from the approved vendor. Hospitals have to float a tender. And whosoever vendor is approved on the basis of that tender in the meeting of the board, the governing body, the asset has been purchased from that particular vendor only. Depreciation is being properly charged. Check for internal controls within the hospital. Normal point. Any doubt with respect to the hospital? Yes, Alok, completely agreed. How can you apply ABC while auditing in a hospital? Completely in agreement with you. Any doubt with respect to hospital, please? You can come up. Then we'll move to hotel. Only then we'll move to hotel. After doing chapters 1 to 12, it rarely happens that you come across doubts in this chapter unless and until it is specific to that very organization. Otherwise, the auditing points are almost covered in when you've read chapters 1 to 12. You can see a hotel over here. Great. Let's move to a hotel. Not permanently, just for the purpose of chatting. Okay, so we'll read hotel with you one by one. So I've booked a hotel room, and as soon as I enter the hotel, what do I see? Okay, let's go to a hotel. Be with me, right? So I've taken a cab and I've entered the hotel premises. When I enter, again, parking, the first point. Internal controls are very much important in a hotel because who's entering, who's exiting, this has to be taken care of. Everything should be accounted for. While entering the hotel, I have to put my luggage on the luggage conveyor belt and I enter from the other side. The guard checks me and I'm greeted by a person when I enter the hotel. The guests with me are made to sit in the lobby area and I have to check in. I reach the reception counter where I'm greeted by the manager and I fulfill all the requirements, the ID cards and everything, fill the form if any required, and take the room key. Then I'm escorted to my room. So meanwhile, what I'm seeing sitting in the lobby, the assets of the hotel, the interiors of the hotel, the staff of the hotel, the managers, the security guard, the cab person, and there is a concierge department in the hotel while sitting in the lobby area. What could I see? There were travel desks who help in local tour and traveling. Then there were shops over there, souvenir shops in the hotel. And that's it. I could see that much only. Now I'm being escorted to my room. So what I happen to see is for my room, if I have to reach my room through the elevator, usually you people use elevator. Nobody uses stairs in the hotel. You wouldn't like it to go to the 33rd or 4th floor via stairs. So there are some rules, some premium or executive rooms where you can reach that particular area only with the use of your room key. You have to tap or punch your room key in the elevator's internal area where you have to press the option for your floor. You are not able to press it unless and until you punch your room key in. So this is a very good example of internal controls. Nobody can reach your area unless and until he has access to that area by the way of a key, a premium access, right? There is a spa and saloon facility of the hotel. Only people who have complimentary access to that area, their room keys will take them to that area, or people who have purchased that particular facility, yeah, to enjoy that facility. When I reach my room, there is no lock and key arrangement. I have to punch my card in and the lights come on. Lights get switched on. I enter my hotel room. I could see the bar, the snacks place, the complimentary tea and coffee, the water bottles, the toiletries in the bathroom, the curtains, the assets, the inventory of the bed sheets, pillows, everything, the furniture in the room, which things are complimentary, which are chargeable, everything. The housekeeping staff, and whether I can order room service or the breakfast or dinner is complimentary or I have to purchase it separately, everything. Now I freshen up and I come back to the lobby to have dinner with my family. And I'm asked by the attendant to wait for 5 minutes so that he arranges a table for me and my family. Meanwhile, I go through a tour of the lobby. I could see banquet halls in the hotel, and the change in the shift of the people. The time I checked in at the hotel and the time of dinner, people are different at the reception counter. The daily wagers or laborers in the staff of the hotel, right? I enter the restaurant. Then what do you do? You enter the restaurant, and then you could see the inventory of crockery, right? The inventory of crockery and the how is it being maintained. Buffet prices are different, and it's even if it's complementary with your room, you'll be getting discounted pricing. If you are purchasing it, you'll be getting a higher price. So the bars, the inventory of wines and whiskeys maintained, everything. And when I come out, I go through the souvenir shops, and I could just imagine, or I could just guess what would be the agreement of the hotel with them. क्या होटल ने ये रेंट पे दी होंगी या कुछ शेयरिंग अरेंजमेंट होगा. And I could see there are Go Ibibo, Make My Trip counters over there to help you with the local tour and traveling, cab operators. So what would be the arrangement with the hotel? They have rented their space on square feet basis to them, or there is some revenue sharing arrangement. If I have booked my ticket by on an online app, what would be the revenue sharing arrangement with the hotel? Had I booked it directly by visiting the hotel reception, how is it different from the booking through an e-commerce aggregator? Further, the income, the taxes, the TCS, the TDS, the GST from the auditor's point of view. And the concept of night auditor. Who is a night auditor? A person who is on duty at night in the hotel. The hotel staff is the night auditor, right? Hotel staff who checks in who is coming, who is going out, and what are the how many, like we could demand for extra mattress. If we are 3 friends in one room, there's a double bed and we require an extra mattress. So who is ordering what from which room? when complimentary services are being availed or some chargeable services are being availed, taking a note of it, that is the night auditor's work in the hotel. He's a part of the hotel staff. If he's a night auditor, means night auditor from the point of view of hotel. He's not in our team. Okay. So these are some of the points which I'll be taking care of. If I have availed a cab service, like pick and drop service from the hotel, is it complimentary or the hotel has its own fleet of cabs? होटल के पास खुद की कार्स हैं 10-15 या होटल ने आउटसोर्स किया हुआ ये काम किसी और ट्रैवल एजेंसी को, कैब ऑपरेटर को. सो व्हाट इज देयर रेवेन्यू शेयरिंग अरेंजमेंट, और that is what I have to check. See, if you visited a hotel, you could guess many of such points. Game zone, garden, Saksham Gaba. Can you please elaborate which place and which batch? Saksham, that would be really easy for me to understand. Okay, so let us study this part. Pilfering, we are first studying the internal controls. Pilfering is one of the greatest problems in any hotel, and the importance of internal control cannot be undermined. It is the responsibility of the management to introduce controls which will minimize the leakage as far as possible. What is pilfering? Theft in small amounts, choti, right? It is pilfering is not what if you are over there and you are packing up free toiletries, the body lotion and the shower gel and all. That is not pilfering. That is your right. You can take it with you. If unused, you can take it with you, right, for your collection. That is not pilfering. Pilfering is what? Theft in small amounts, which is usually done at the hotel level, right? Usually by the naughty staff. So it is one of the greatest problems, right? We can, the hotel can prepare weekly trading accounts for each sales point, the restaurant, or any other amenity being given by the hotel, provided by the hotel. And we can check for the profit percentages if there are any deviations. So you could check that, yes, the stock is being pilfered, because छोटी-छोटी अमाउंट में लीकेज होना और एक दिन पूरा घड़ा खाली हो जाएगा, वैसा ही हिसाब है. छोटी-छोटी अमाउंट में चोरी होगी तो लॉसेस एट द ईयर एंड जाके बहुत बड़ा हो जाएगा. Okay, so periodical trading accounts auditors should ask for monthly, quarterly, review, examine them, and obtain explanations for any apparent deviations. Apparent deviations means जो साफ तौर पे दिख रही है सामने. If the internal control in the hotel is weak or it breaks down, a very serious problem exists for the auditor, and auditor will have to increase his substantive audit procedures. He might have to qualify his audit report. Auditor has to check for the taxes collected from occupants on food and occupation room rent, and they have been remitted further, right? You know, GST is being collected on hotel accommodation, food, and further now you check there is much hue and cry. सर्विस चार्जेस आप ले सकते हैं, नहीं ले सकते, हमारी चॉइस है. कोर्ट ने कहा है व्हाट इज द रेट ऑफ जीएसटी, 5% और वट एवर द केस दे आर फॉलोइंग इन. जीएसटी रेट इज डिफरेंट फ्रॉम डिफरेंट कैटेगरी ऑफ रूम्स. So as an auditor, you should be having knowledge of that and check that in the hotel's records. Room sales, the most important part. The charge of the room sales is normally posted to guest bills by the receptionist. In case of large hotels, by the night auditor. So usually the receptionist or front office, or in the case of large hotels, by the night auditor. Yeah, the person has come over here and he has spent the night over here. So if it is not an advance booking, we'll have to ask them for the price during checkout. So it is confirmed. The room sales is confirmed by the night. The source of these entries is the guest register. An audit test should be carried to ensure that correct number of guests are charged for the correct period. Any difference in the room rates, normal room rates, and charge should be asked for why such concession was given. Right? In many hotels, the housekeeper prepares a daily report of the rooms which were occupied the previous night and the number of beds kept in each room. So you can check his report. If there were 2 extra beds demanded in that room, but the booking was for only 2 people, what is going on? 4 people in one room and booking was for 2 people. So is then the hotel taking care of this fault? This report tends not to be permanently retained by the housekeeper, and auditor should ensure that a sufficient number of reports are available for him to test with the guest register. Ensure compliance with the provisions of FEMA and RBI if receipts are in foreign currency. So FEMA, RBI, remittance, how much money can you pay or can you bring, that is being taken care of. Proper conversion rate applicable as per the time should be taken. Special emphasis to be laid on receipts through credit cards because there might be a fraud when it comes to credit cards. So proper mechanism of authentication and verification by the way of OTPs and all. The auditor should ensure that proper valuation of occupancy in progress as that the balance sheet date is made and included in the. What is occupancy in progress as at the balance sheet date? Somebody has checked in on 30th of March, 31st of March and checking out on 1st of April. So what is the hotel's policy? How do you check the occupancy in progress? How do you account for it? Half or full in 1 year or full in next year? So you have to check the hotel's policy. Inventories, obviously the inventories in the hotel are readily portable and saleable, particularly the food and beverage inventories. So all movements and transfers of such inventories should be properly documented to enable control to be exercised over each individual store. The chips, the cookies, the beverages placed in the bar of the hotel room. So whenever you check out of the hotel room, a call is made to the housekeeping team to check whatever has been consumed by the guest. The charges are properly recovered. Areas where large quantities of inventory are held should be kept locked and the key should be retained by that particular department's manager. Toiletries department, right? Foodstuff department, beverages department, wine department, bar, the person having the key to the inventory of the bar. And the key should be authorized to trusted personnel only for the inward and outward movement of the stock. Many hotels use specialized professional valuers to take and value the inventories on a continuous basis. So you can check the valuation report of that particular valuer, right? The auditor should consider attending physical inventory taking, stock checking. Normal point. He can, right? You have done the professional skepticism and independence of auditor. Now it is the auditor. Auditor usually stays in the same hotel. Unless and until he stays in the same hotel, he'll not be able to proceed with many of his audit steps. Fixed assets. So accounting policies for fixed assets completely fine. Normal point. Cost of repairs and minor renovation should be charged to revenue, and major overhauling or extension of capacity of the hotel should be charged to capital. Normal point. Physically check and obtain the bank reconciliation statement, the cash and bank. Restaurant and banquet halls. So the auditor should ensure proper records are maintained for booking of halls and other areas for special occasions. Tariff structure is being properly followed. And if for the restaurant, the auditor should check some of the kitchen order tickets. What is the kitchen order ticket? KOTs. So you order something, for example, you're visiting the restaurant. What do? You might have seen it many of the restaurants. You go to the reception, the place, you order your stuff, you pay over there, you get a kitchen order ticket, and they are told, please इसे 2 number counter पे 3 number counter पे दीजिएगा. That is a kitchen order ticket. आप वहां पे देते हैं और वो आपका just food है जो आपने order किया वो तैयार करते हैं, and they call you or it is served on your table. So the auditor will check that the bills issued, payments received, and he'll match some of them on sampling basis with the kitchen order tickets with the kitchen staff, the chef or the kitchen staff who is taking care of it, that they are matching. It is not a case where a kitchen order ticket is making, but bill is there, or bill is not there, but a kitchen order ticket is there. Who was eating that stuff if not paid? And if you have received a bill, where is the kitchen order ticket? So to check the revenue, the internal controls over revenue, he'll check the kitchen order ticket with the bills, right? Casual labor and staff expenses. So hotel trade usually operates to a very large extent on casual labor. So wage payment system is robust and there should not be dummy payments, right? You should check attendance records, surprise checks of the wage payment registers, and a few salary payments could be checked with the entries in the cash book. And you can use analytical procedures, chapter 8 of previous periods, wage payments and salary payments. As I told you, the travel agents and shops, souvenir shops. So for ledgers coming through travel agents, for accounts coming through travel agents and other booking agencies, you can check the bills and the agreement entered into with them, whether money is being paid to them or recovered from them within the credit period allowed, within 3 days, 7 days, 15 days. Commission, if any, paid to travel agents or booking agents should be checked with reference to agreement on that behalf. So it is like you have to recover this much money from that travel agent and he deducts his commission and remits the balance money to you. In case spaces have been let out to such person, there should be proper rent agreement. If not on commission basis, then places have been rent out to them to carry out their work and there should be a proper rent agreement for that. Right? So these were the points with respect to a hotel. Any doubts, please? Any doubts आप पूछ सकते हैं with respect to hotel? I visualize that I'm really in a hotel. Good, Dinesh. Okay, I've covered all the small topics today, right? We'll be taking up the heavier topics in the next session. Pranay, why do you want to know this? एक auditor की fees कितनी होती है company के case में? When you'll get into practice, you'll get to know. As you need to know only what points to be considered in an audit. मैं किसे बताऊँ एक ऑडिटर की फीस कितनी होती है? It is different, depends upon person to person, case to case, city to city, company to company. Okay, I'll give that to you in the next session, Danish. Not very much correct and incorrect, or many more correct and MCQs from this chapter. Quite a straightforward chapter it is. So we'll not be taking that, but just give in the form of notes. Okay, let's move to the last topic of the day. Hire, purchase and leasing companies. आलोक से सर उसको शायद फीस के नाम पे मोटिवेशन चाहिए. मोटिवेशन बहुत है. You should have that skill, right? You should not be dependent upon who is charging what and what is being charged in the market. You should be charging as per your skill and work. Motivation skill se aati hai. Good one, Alok. Okay, so hire purchase agreement and hire purchase and leasing companies. Hire purchase who lend assets on hire, leasing companies who lease their assets. So you might have read about hire purchase and leasing companies in your accounting standards, as well as it is a chapter in accounts or advanced accounts, if I'm not wrong. Are you through this chapter? प्रणव से भाई समझ गया। तुम लोग मस्ती कर लो, चैप्टर बाद में पढ़ लेना। हाँ, चलिए। हायर परचेज. So what is the concept of hire purchase? Hire purchase agreement means an agreement under which goods are lent on hire and the hirer has the option to purchase them in accordance with the terms of the agreement. So I'm a textile manufacturing, I have a textile manufacturing company. I need a machine. मुझे एक एम्ब्रॉयडरी वाली मशीन चाहिए. सो मैं एक जो मैन्युफैक्चरर है उससे बात करता हूँ दैट आई विल पे यू इन इंस्टॉलमेंट्स. आप मशीन मुझे दे दीजिए. 5 ईयर या 6 ईयर्स की लीज करते हैं, हायर एग्रीमेंट में एंटर करते हैं. हायर परचेज में 6 साल तक मैं आपको कुछ पेमेंट करूंगा और 6th ईयर के एंड पे एक ऑप्शन के अकॉर्डिंग मैं आपसे परचेज कर लूंगा. सो वट एवर इज द प्राइस ऑफ द मशीन, I defer it and I make some extra payment. It's like a financing arrangement. I make some extra payment to the hirer, to the vendor in the form of hire purchase interest, right? So hirer means the person who obtains or has obtained possession of goods from an owner. So the other person is owner who is giving me the machine on rent, and I am the hirer, and we enter into hire purchase agreement that firstly it is hire for some time, and after some time I'll purchase it from you. So in order to complete the purchase or acquisition of property in the goods of which agreement relates and includes any sum so payable. So hire purchase price is down payment or cash price plus hire purchase interest. That is the hire purchase price. You know about it. Okay. So what are the terms and conditions included in hire purchase agreement? Possession of goods is delivered by the owner to a person on condition that such person pays the agreed amount in periodical installments, the hire purchase installment. The property in goods is to pass to such person on the payment of last of such installments, and such person has a right to terminate the agreement at any time before the property so passes. So he'll say, no, I don't want to purchase. Okay, fine. I have given you the rent payments. You can take it back. Whatever the agreement between them, or the property would pass after the payment of last of such installment. Hire purchase gets complete. So what are the auditor's consideration? Auditors has to check the hire purchase agreement, the hire purchase price, the cash price, the date of agreement, number of installments, each installment's amount, and the goods, underlying goods. And if you check, the hire purchase company is receiving regular installments. There is no amount which is irrecoverable. They are being received regularly as per the agreement. Okay. So what is a lease? A lease is an agreement where there is a lessor and a lessee. The lessee acquires the right to use the asset for an agreed period of time, and the person from whom the asset is being taken on lease is called the lessor. So in the lease agreements, usually the legal ownership of the asset remains with the lessor, but the risk and rewards of ownership of the asset are transferred to the lessee. For example, तेल की खान, कोयले की खान, mines. Legal ownership remains with the lessor, but they are given on lease. The lessee extracts coal, petroleum from that area, from that mine, and either gives some royalty or lease rent to that lessor. In other words, lease is in fact a financing arrangement. Such leases are termed as finance leases. An operating lease, on the other hand, is a simple arrangement where in return for rent, the lessor allows the lessee to use the asset for a certain period. Right? You have the difference between finance lease and operating lease in your study material. AS 19 has completely given you the difference. Finance lease is basically financing arrangement. On operating leases, you take the machine on rent or the asset on rent for operating purposes only, and then you return it back. Financing lease is one where the ownership transfers from the lessor to the lessee. So, how are leasing arrangements entered into? The lessee, the person who wants to take the asset on lease, selects the equipment, satisfies himself of the functional fitness and specification. For example, for coal or petroleum, he'll get the technical analysis carried out of the land, the mine, how much petrol, how much mineral, how much coal is over here. We have specific equipments which tell us this. So he'll check a physical inspection and the financial health of that. How much material can he get from that particular mine, for example. So in the case of a machine or equipment, the lessee will check the health of that equipment. Now, after choosing the equipment, the lessee moves to the lessor, approaches the lessor, either directly or through a lease broking agency. Lease agreement is entered into, and the lessor places an order on the manufacturer as chosen by the lessee. For example, I want to get this machinery fabricated, and then I'll take it on lease from you. After my work is finished, you can lease it to any other person. Either I'll purchase it or you can use this asset to give it on lease to other parties. Manufacturer delivers the equipment at the site of the lessee, and the letter gives notice of acceptance. The lease agreement is a contract. Again, lease period. What will the contract include? The rentals, the period agreed upon. The lessee will keep the equipment in good repair and working condition, and the lessee will be entitled to manufacturer's warranties or after-sale services. Right, Alok, I'll do that if time allows. We have paucity of time, only 2 sessions for this chapter. If time allows, I'll definitely do that. At the end of the lease period, the equipment shall retreat to the lessor. So the lessor may give an option to the lessee. If you want to purchase this equipment, the lessee might agree, not agree. If the lessee doesn't agree, he wants to return it back, the lessor has that asset and he can lease it to another person. For example, machines are available on lease in the market, right? So renovation is being carried out at your office or your home. So many machines are required by the carpenter or the painter or the plumber or the contractor, right? Works contractor. They'll be leasing out many machines, taking many machines on lease purpose. So then they return it back and just pay some rent in the form of a lease rent to that particular owner. Audit considerations, again, you have to check the object clause of the leasing company because the leasing company is under audit. Then whether the leasing company gets a proper credit analysis of the lessee before leasing out any asset to him or her, right? Past credit record, capital strength, availability of collateral security, or we have read the caution money and all. Then the lease agreement should be checked, the lessor, his details, lessee details, amount, tenure of the lease, what would be the fate of the equipment, whether it will be returned or option will be given to the lessee to purchase that asset after the lease period ends, and whether the lessee can sublet the asset further, whether he can or he needs to take permission of the lessor, right? Examine the lease proposal form submitted by the lessee. Invoice is retained safely as leases are usually long-term contracts. Board resolutions, copies of insurance policies of the asset are being maintained properly. These are some of the audit considerations in the case of leases. So hire purchase and leases. I suppose you have done hire purchase and leases, so it would be quite easy for you to differentiate between these two. Any doubts from hire purchase and leases? Because all the small topics have been covered in today's session, and I'll be taking up government audit, audit of non-government agencies, non-government organizations, and cooperative societies and local bodies. Only 4 topics, which are the bigger topics. I'll be taking them up in the next session. I've covered all the shorter topics which were easy for you to understand as on day one, and you can read them on your own from the study material. I'll be uploading the notes by tonight or by tomorrow for your reading. And on Monday, we'll be taking up the balance topics, the 4 bigger topics. If you have any doubts, you can always ask me in the next session, or I'm here for the next 5 to 10 minutes. If you want to ask any doubts, please come up with your doubts. Alok, I've taken a note of your request. I'll try my level best to take that up in the next session, right? Okay, Pranav, what is a financial lease basically? Where you take that asset, right, on lease, and it is kind of a financing arrangement where you pay a lease rent to the lessor, and at the end of the period, the lessor gives you an option whether you want to purchase the asset or not. And if you want to purchase the asset, you enter into an agreement. It is kind of a financing lease. We will just finance the asset like hire purchase, and at the end of the lease period, you purchase the asset. But in the case of an operating lease, you return back the asset to the lessor that you do no more need it, and you just wanted to use it. And for that use, we have given lease payments in the form of rent to the lessor during all this time, during the lease tenure. I hope, Pranav, I'm clear. प्रणव फाइनेंशियल लीज में यूजुअली फाइनेंस का अरेंजमेंट होता है एक तरीके से दैट अभी उतने पैसे नहीं है, आपको इंस्टॉलमेंट्स में पैसे दूंगा, मैं एसेट यूज करता रहूंगा और लास्ट में आपसे एसेट खरीद लूंगा. ऑपरेटिंग लीज में एसेट को मैं सिर्फ यूज करता हूँ और जब मेरा काम हो जाता है फिर मैं उसे वापस कर देता हूँ लेसर को. दैट इज ऑपरेटिंग लीज. और ऑपरेटिंग लीज के लिए मैं उसे रेंट देता हूँ. Any more doubts, please? Okay, great. Okay, everyone, please do this chapter, read this chapter from the study material, and you can ask doubts in the next class as well. I'll just download today's doubts as well, and we'll see if any doubt has got left unanswered by me. I'll take that query in the next session. Okay? Take care, everyone. Good night. And we'll meet you on Monday to finish off this chapter.